This show is part of the RetroZap.com podcast network.
This is what you can look forward to on episode 209 of Skywalking Through Neverland.
If you come with us, you're in this life for good.
To me, it puts Snoke up on more of a comedic level. Like, he's wearing these slippers? What is he, Peter Cushing?
The level of depth of storytelling that goes into these is almost to a comical level.
I think I'd go for a Twilight massage.
In Star Wars, a lightspeed trip, no matter how far you're going, is 3 minutes. Yeah, I had a big crush on Batman. What's his name?
Therm Scissor Punch.
What? Who?
Now, is Malla on the cusp of canon?
Well...
Are you ready?
Off to Neverland.
Here we go.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
When I first made Star Wars, everybody in Hollywood said, well, this is a movie Disney should have made.
You're more than just fans. You're family.
Best day ever!
Secrets loud.
It's about family, and that's what's so powerful about it.
Hey.
When you use a bird to write with, it's called tweeting.
When we visit the world of Disney, we never grow old. It's a Peter Pan, Neverland that keeps us young in heart.
This is Jedi Master Obi-Wan Kenobi, and you are skywalking through Neverland. I have a good feeling about this.
Hey, Skywalkers! So what new Star Wars film should we talk about today? The Last Jedi? Solo?
Well, how about both?
Then how about we welcome you to Skywalking Through Neverland. We are your enthusiastic podcast destination for the many decades of your Star Wars and Disney fandom. I am Richard Woloski, but everyone please say hello to the sweetest wife there ever was, my wife Sarah.
Oh my goodness. What a lovely sentiment.
Well, thank you very much. Once again, it just comes out.
You know what? You're the best husband ever. In a galaxy far, far away and right here.
Oh, see? Look at that. Starting off their show with so much enthusiasm and love.
So much enthusiasm and love. And guess what? We want to give a big, lovely Wookiee hug.
Wait a minute. Is that a Malla Wookiee hug?
Oh, maybe.
Oh, more on that
Maybe
later.
it's a Malla Wookiee hug to our family of Skywalkers. We want to thank you guys for listening to the show every week and all of our SkyTubers who are watching right now because we have changed up our format. So now, guess what we're doing? We're doing a fun game pre-show on Facebook Live on our Facebook page. And today we played Mad Libs and we got to learn Han Solo's Spacebook profile. It was really fun.
Yeah, little did we know that he is a plunger smuggler.
I know. It was crazy. Mind blown. Anyway, and now
And he works for Jabba the Booger. And we so hope those weren't spoilers for Solo: A Star Wars Story.
Us too. Yes. Okay, so now we are just on YouTube Live. So thank you for joining us, our SkyTubers. And of course, you can always tweet at us. We are at Skywalking Pod, and we just love it when you share our joy in this adventure through fandom. And also, because you're on YouTube right now, thank you for watching. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/skywalkingthrough-neverland. And that way you'll be notified when we go live on YouTube and you'll get to contribute to the show. Because as we talk through the show on our podcast, we also bring up comments that you guys say, like, let's see, Tati Perez says, "Aw, you too," when we're talking about how we love each other. Oh, thank you, Tati.
Now, in this big power-packed episode, we will be discussing the first full trailer for Solo: A Star Wars Story and why this might be the best Star Wars film ever.
Wait, what? The best? Why?
One word, Malla.
Well, also on the show, Jocasta Drew will be joining us to pick out fun and interesting nuggets from the Last Jedi Visual Dictionary and the Last Jedi Incredible Cross-Sections books from DK. And you also might get some the Last Jedi Visual Dictionary fun facts, or as we like to call them, Canto Fun Bytes.
That is so good. I love that. Now, we also have shout-outs and a Skywalker of the Week.
Beep, 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 beep. Breaking news!
Breaking news?
Breaking news! Richard, we got a YouTube update.
Let's hear it.
Okay, well, first of all, we reached 1,300 subscribers on YouTube.
Woohoo!
Woo! And also, breaking news, we are now doing, wait for it, unboxing videos!
No!
Yes, we are, because we just received this huge box in the mail from Disney filled with Solo, a Star Wars Story merchandise. So what do you do when you receive all this merchandise?
Live up to our promise.
Yes.
And review the toys for Disney. You know what? It only makes sense. Quid pro quo, Clarice.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta open up the toys.
It's true. So we are opening them up, but good news for you, Skywalkers, we are not keeping all of these. We may be using them in the video, but we will be doing some giveaways of many of these characters.
Yeah, and that goes by our sharesy-daresy philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
When we get something, you guys get something.
Yeah. So keep abreast of our social media, because that's where all the contests will be held. Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, and speaking of YouTube unboxing videos, one of them is already available on our YouTube channel. We have the Lando and Enfys Nest Funko Pops. So those are super cute. Richard and I chose those in particular because we loved their look.
Yeah, and just to give you a little warning, there might be some mild spoilers in those videos, meaning I'm sure everyone has already heard about the Enfys Nest character details. We go into it a little bit more.
Yeah. So if you don't want to know anything about Solo going into it, don't watch the video until after you've seen the movie.
Which is why they're only mild spoilers.
Yeah.
Now, just to let everyone know, this Solo merchandise will be hitting the store shelves this Friday, April the 13th.
Yes, exciting.
But now let's tell everyone that we are recording this from Long Beach, California on April the 10th, 2018. Now we just have to know what time it is.
Well.
Minnie? Do you hear me? Shh. Do you care? Shh. What is Minnie for?
What? How about this?
Oh, it's Mickey.
Here we go.
It's 12:25. Good afternoon.
Now, what happened today in Star Wars and Disney history? Sarah, what happened on this date back in 1929?
Happy birthday to Max von Sydow.
Lord Santeca.
Look how old you've become.
Something far worse has happened to you.
89 years ago today, we welcomed little Max von Sydow to the world. Fun story, I once met Max von Sydow at a screening.
Nice.
And he told me to move. We were walking up the red carpet I forget what I was doing, but people were taking pictures, so I just stood there.
Oh, no.
I don't know how I ended up on the red carpet, but I did. And what do you do when people start taking pictures? You just stand there and smile. And I hear right from behind me, sir, could you move? I look behind me, it's him. I only knew him from the Flash Gordon film.
Okay.
I didn't know anything else, so it's like, hey, you're Ming, aren't you? So that was my one encounter with Lord Santeca.
Nice.
Now, also on this date, back in 1981.
Ooh.
37 years ago today.
I was 1 month old.
Oh boy. Star Wars was re-released in theaters for 2 weeks only for the third time.
The original, legendary Star Wars is back. The most popular film of all time, Star Wars. Coming back to your galaxy for 2 weeks only. Star Wars, The Force will be with you, starting Friday, April 10th.
2 weeks only.
For 2 weeks only.
Okay.
Yeah, back then, films would stay in a theater for up to a year.
Wow. Yeah.
Maybe 6 months.
Exactly.
Yeah, so there's also an important fun fact about this.
Mm-hmm.
This was the very first release where we saw the title Episode 4, A A New Hope.
Oh.
And I recall seeing Star Wars in the theater at the Paramount Theater in Newton Corner. And episode 4, A New Hope. What is this? We didn't see this before. What's going on? I was utterly confused because I couldn't get on Siri, couldn't ask her, couldn't get on Google. So I had no frame of reference.
Right. Like, why was this suddenly changed?
Yeah, I couldn't double check this. Last time I had seen Star Wars in the theater was 1979. So 2 years to a 12-year-old, that was like a lifetime.
Wow.
So did I see that? I don't know. So confused.
All right, let's move ahead to 1984 when Mandy Moore was born. It's her birthday on April 10th.
Woohoo! Best day ever!
And she, of course, is the voice of Punzel.
And it's not good for us to reveal her 34-year-old age.
Oh.
So, when it comes to girls, we don't reveal their age, even if they are 34.
Okay. So should we jump to 92 then and reveal another woman's age?
Yeah, which we won't do.
Okay.
So, a big happy birthday to Daisy Ridley.
Woohoo!
Who could or could not be turning 26 years old today.
Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Oh.
It's 26.
That's adorable.
Got 2 huge blockbusters under her belt.
All right, well, this is my favorite today in Star Wars Disney history coming up. Guess what?
What?
Disney's Newsies is released in theaters in 1992.
Now is the time to seize the day.
Now is the time to seize the day.
Send out the call and join the fray.
Send out the call and join the fray.
Wrongs will be righted if we're united.
Let us seize the day.
Which means my mom and I were at the theater today watching Newsies and going, oh, you're so cute.
26 years ago today?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Kind of puts things in perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah, I had a big crush on Batman. What's his name?
Adam West.
No.
Val Kilmer.
No, I can't remember his name
Michael
now.
Keaton?
No.
George Clooney?
No.
Ben Affleck?
No. The one Batman you haven't said.
Burt Ward?
No. Man, what are you talking about?
He was Robin.
Okay.
Just trying to confuse you. Christian Bale.
Thank you, Christian Bale.
You
so
forgot
cute.
your on-screen boyfriend's birthday.
As a teenager, Christian Bale was like all that. I'm just saying. Yay. And Kat says, I love Newsies. I saw it a few years ago and love that movie so much. Me too, Kat. Me too. My teenage heart. Ugh. Okay.
Now let's quickly move on and talk about the big news of the week. And that was the release of Malla, a Star Wars story trailer.
Wait, what?
I said Solo, a Star Wars story trailer.
Oh, okay. That's what I thought I heard.
You might want to buckle up, baby.
Here they come! Let me give you some advice. Assume everyone will betray you, and you will never be disappointed.
I got a really good feeling about this.
Can you feel it? We are now at the forefront of Solo Mania.
Woohoo!
Oh, I can feel it. Oh, I love this time of year.
It's happening. The full steam ahead hype has begun in full force. And then it all kicked off with the Denny's promotion.
Now, we've made several visits to Denny's already. We got our collector cups, our special colorful character gift cards.
Where's our cups? Where's our cups?
Oh, right over here.
Oh,
see?
Oh, here, give me that.
Here's
Hold
your
on.
Kira.
Wait, here we go. Ready?
Oh, what kind of sound effect was that?
I'm a girl. I can't do sound effects.
And the Millennium Falcon, when it wants to shoot, how does it sound?
Pew, 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 pew.
So we got our collector cups. So far we have the Han Solo and Kira. We just need the Lando and the Chewie. We got a few of the foil wrapped Topps trading cards, which are not opened, but I can tell on the inside they're awesome.
Yeah, we don't know what we got yet. Richard can't muster the strength to open that yet.
That is awesome foil wrapped packaging. I can't destroy that. Plus, whenever we go in, we always get a free pack from the manager because we make so many visits there now.
Yes.
So if you haven't gone to Denny's yet, word of warning, the Blaster Fire Burger is called that for a reason.
Yes.
It is very, very spicy.
Yeah, we had to scrape off the spicy sauce. It was like, ooh, oh.
I know it says spicy in the description of the burger, but we were just so caught up in Solo Mania, we ordered a couple of them, and wow, my mouth is still on fire.
Well, they were good except for the sauce. Like, otherwise, they had bacon. They were really yummy.
Yeah, so Blaster Fire is not just a very well-crafted name for this burger. It means something.
Yes.
It feels like someone just reached in your mouth with a blaster, with a DL-44, and pulled the trigger. What we can recommend is the breakfast selections.
Yes. So we got the co-reactor pancake breakfast, which was amazing because it has Crystal Crunch on it. And basically, Crystal Crunch is Pop Rocks. And so you put the Crystal Pop Rocks on top of the pancakes and you pour some syrup on. And it's like you can hear the popping going on. It's really fun. And then you eat it and then it's all the Pop Rocks in your mouth with the pancakes. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, word of warning. Do not eat the Crystal Crunch Rocks with the Blaster Fire burger.
We didn't try that.
No, we didn't, but just do not do that because it'll implode, then explode in your stomach.
They also had the Two Moons skillet, and nothing new on that one, really. But then you can also have a milkshake, which also has the Crystal Crunch Pop Rocks in it. So that should be fun.
So when you go to your Denny's, just make sure the manager knows you and sees you repeatedly. He'll start giving you free stuff. Now, with our bellies full of Denny's, let's get into the first trailer that is not a teaser or a teaser for Solo, a Star Wars Story, which was just released on Sunday, April the 8th, during American Idol.
And it begins with a guitar chord.
Now, as we get into this track, which I really hope is a John Powell track that we're going to hear in the movie, I'm hearing some Rocky Horror time warp influences.
It's astounding. Time is fleeting. Madness takes its toll.
Is that just me?
Okay, so I think what you're hearing that driving beat and the same instrumentation. So I can hear that a little bit. I can hear that, but when I first heard this music, my mind did not go Rocky Horror. It actually went to 80s. It went to like an 80s action flick. This is like what I felt when I was listening to it. I'm like, what does this feel like? And I don't know. It's like grungy. It's twangy, but it's like flashy. So to me, I was listening to some 80s film soundtracks, and honestly, it sounds like the Terminator theme by Brad Fiedel.
Yeah, I can see that too.
And not the instrumentation now here, but it does has that clangy instrument. It's like the same clangy instrument, but so it's almost like they took the Terminator theme and gave it like spaghetti western instrumentation.
Okay.
To give it kind of that feel like it's part of time. It's part of our past, which I really like.
Yeah, and I so hope that this is a John Powell soundtrack.
That would be neat. And also the fact that I mean, what if this is part of something that John Williams has composed for the Han Solo theme?
Doesn't sound like John Williams.
It doesn't, but it could be.
All right, I'm not going to hold out hope for that, but
No.
I do hope that John Williams does score something that is very gritty like this for Han.
Yeah, definitely. So I just love that, and you know, I could listen to this music all day, honestly. I really, really liked the music, and it really gets us pumped up for this film.
Now, what got me pumped, also, when we see that first shot, we're on, I'm going to guess it's Corellia.
Yeah.
Now, I know people have been saying it could be Mimban, but Mimban was the planet taken from Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
Okay.
And that's always been referred to as a jungle, swampy planet that later on they used as Dagobah in The Empire Strikes Back.
Yeah, and this is definitely like a cityscape.
Yeah. So, and I know they're not going to adhere a lot to the references like Mimban or Cloud Riders to the source material. So I'm going to say that this is Corellia.
Okay.
All right, so we open up on Corellia.
It would make sense. I mean, that's where Han's from.
Yeah.
To open the trailer there and the movie there would make sense.
We pan up, and what do we see but an under construction Star Destroyer?
Super cool.
Oh, so I'm getting a little bit of Rogue One with this.
Okay.
How we can see the Star Destroyer so close to the planet's surface that that blew my mind there, because once again, we're seeing something very familiar in a very unfamiliar way. Like, we've seen an under construction Death Star, but not a Star Destroyer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that just pushes those nostalgic buttons.
All right, and then we get into some banter between Kira and Han.
You're after something. Is it revenge? Money? Or is it something else?
So I'm excited about this because they're pretty people, and they're looking at each other with these little side eyes, and I'm kind of all for shipping Kira and Han in this film. Like, maybe see a makeout session between these two, And I know that seems weird because usually I'm very possessive about Han, but this Han is not Harrison Ford, so I could see that.
I don't want that.
No?
I want them just to be co-conspirators.
Okay.
They work together. They've known each other since they were kids. I don't want to see any kind of romantic fling between them.
I'm just a shipper person.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Okay. Well, let's move on then. We have some other characters in this trailer.
Yeah, and not enough of them like Enfy's Nest.
Yes.
And this is the new villain that was just revealed. She's a female.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
She's a female, and she's a leader of the Cloud Riders.
That's right. Now, you listeners may know the name Cloud Riders because when we were reviewing the classic Marvel Star Wars comics, and the first arc after the movie adaptation was about Han and his Magnificent Seven group, and they had to protect Aduba 3 from Sergi X and the Cloud Riders.
Yeah.
Now, once again, I'm not expecting the filmmakers to adhere to the Cloud Riders that we know from Marvel.
Right.
But if they did, that would make me excited beyond belief.
Yeah, if anything, it does seem like a similar story where you have one gang that's put together that's going up against this Cloud Rider gang that's like the evil gang.
Right. And you already have such a rich story of Cloud Riders. Why not just use that?
Yes. Ooh, now Tati Perez is asking a question. Is that one girl supposed to be Sana Solo? I think everyone will freak out if Han's first wife shows up in the movie. So, actually, Tati, I think you're talking about, who's the actress? From...
Oh, Thandie Newton.
Thandie Newton.
Who plays Val.
Yeah, she plays Val. And Christopher just said that. She plays Val. So she is not Sana Solo, but that would be interesting to see. Yeah, that was a lot when she was cast. When Thandie Newton was cast, a lot of people were like, oh, is she going to be Sana Solo?
And another new character that we saw in this trailer, Therm Scissor Punch.
What? Who?
Therm Scissor Punch is at the sabacc table with Lando Calrissian when Han walks in. And you'll see him off to the right side of the screen.
Okay.
It looks like a big crustacean with these tendrils sticking down from his head.
Okay.
Now, this character will be played by Johnny Depp. Because, yeah, Johnny Depp has got a strong hold on any kind of scissor hand or scissor punch character. You know what? Hold on. I'm sorry, I was making that part up. So, Johnny Depp.
But will it be by Johnny Depp? Or
No.
Oh, okay.
I'm just thinking, you know what? Scissor hand, scissor punch. It's got to tie in there somewhere.
Well, it's probably played by one of our friends we know from the creature department.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yeah, that could be details. Could be Paul Warren in there.
Yeah.
Could even be Simon Pegg.
Yes, but we don't know.
Well, you know, it could be Johnny Depp in there. He may saw the casting and said, they're doing a whole nother Edward Scissor Punch movie. I'm in. Went in and they said, hey, Johnny, get inside this costume, okay? Yeah, we'll explain this to you later on.
Okay, well, let's talk about someone else at that sabacc table, and that would be Lando. Can we talk about Lando, please?
Oh, please, yes.
Okay, talk about swagger. I mean, he just takes Han's, like, alpha attitude up 10 times. And I think if he's not careful, Donald Glover is going to see a lot of memes of himself in poses like the Ian Malcolm meme from Jurassic Park, where he's standing, with his... His chest all bare. I wonder if we'll get a Lando image like that to be a nice meme around social media for a while.
Well, he wasn't shirtless.
No, he wasn't. But like, he kind of had that like hip cock thing. I don't know what to explain it, but
I'm too cool for the room.
Yes, exactly. And so if we go further into when we see the film, if there's going to be scenes like that, if he brings that swagger to every scene, I can definitely see some fun memes going around.
Now, what do you think about this when Han said to Lando,
I heard a story about you. I was wondering if it's true.
Everything you've heard about me is true.
What story is Han referring to?
So, I don't know.
You never know. It could be something brand new.
Right.
But if he's already heard a story, then there's something there, I'm guessing, that was already established in a book or a comic that I'm not remembering.
I don't know.
We haven't
Maybe
really
it's
seen,
a comic.
We haven't really seen a young Lando yet.
No, we haven't. But Tatsi Perez says, Swagalicious, a friend of mine saw the movie and said it should have been called Lando. Wow. So I guess he's probably in it a lot, I suppose.
Well, or he could just steal the film.
Yeah?
Yeah, Donald Glover is awesome.
Well, and with a character like that you can like just chew up the scenery with, I mean, how fun is that to play?
I think he has more freedom. Donald Glover has got more freedom playing Lando than Alden Ehrenreich has playing Han Solo.
Yes.
Because every single thing Alden does will be scrutinized. And I think we're giving a little bit more leeway with Lando. So I have a feeling Solo will spin off to Lando.
That would be fun.
Yeah.
That really, really would be fun. Okay, can we talk about a shot that gave me chills?
Oh, yeah, we can.
Okay. It's when you see the Falcon, it's kind of in bluish light, and you see Han walk in and looking around, just like he does in the cockpit of the Falcon in The Force Awakens, or like that Chewie we're home moment. Like, to me, in the trailer, that's the one that like twanged my heartstrings. Like, if there was a guitar just going bing, I was like, oh.
Now, do you think that's the first time Han has entered the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's why it gave me a ping. I was like, oh, this is the first time. And then in The Force Awakens, you see him come in for the last time.
I think they're going to give out lists at the door of the theater, like a checklist of all the things we know about Han Solo that you can check off.
Yeah.
Such as Han warning the Millennium Falcon. Check. Han saving Chewie from Imperial slavers. Check. Han entering the Millennium Falcon cockpit. Check. and one shot that really gave me the chills is when Tobias Beckett, played by Woody Harrelson, he has his new posse around a campfire. Oh, so Western. And he kisses a DL-44 blaster and throws it to Han.
Oh,
another check. We see how Han gets his blaster.
See, you boys and your toys. That didn't even faze me. But I can see how it would for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense.
All right, now I want to talk about the big shot.
Okay.
The big shot.
The big shot where Han walks into the Falcon?
No.
The big shot where we see Kira in her cool cape?
The big shot that sent my head spiraling. Spiraling.
What is it?
I'm pretty sure we just saw our first glimpse of Chewie's wife, Malla. We have not seen her since 1978's Star Wars Holiday Special, but now we see her here. Now, it hasn't been confirmed that it's her, but chances are we just saw Malla.
That is super cool. I know, it was like two Wookiees hugging. Who else could that be?
And then in the background, we see some blaster fire. Like, what? This might be when Chewie is taking off with Han to pay his life debt.
Right.
And he's got to get out of there real quickly, and he's giving Malla one last little Wookiee kiss head bump before he takes off.
Yeah.
Now, is Malla on the cusp of canon?
Well, let's think about this. Alexandra Bracken wrote the short story The Princess, the Scoundrel, and the Farm Boy, and she wrote in a tweet after the Solo trailer aired that she can't confirm 100% that Malla is canon because I sadly do not have that power, but based on the fact I was asked to remove other elements of previous EU-established Han plus Chewie backstory from the book, but was allowed to leave the Malla reference. Whoa.
Okay. Malla is like on at the lobby of Cannon.
Of the Cannon Hotel?
Yes.
She hasn't got a room yet.
No, she hasn't taken that elevator, but her finger is pressing the up button.
Yeah, and when Solo, A Star Wars Story comes out, perhaps she'll get her room. In the Star Wars Hotel of Cannon.
Finally, we will get our Malla action figure.
Oh, that would be so much fun. Oh,
yes.
To go with all of our Chewies.
All right, you know what? One more thing to check off of the Han Solo checklist.
Mm-hmm.
He does say a very familiar quote, but he twists it around a little bit.
That's right. He says,
I got a really good feeling about this.
What?
Now, ordinarily, that line would be a groaner, but it worked.
The way he said it worked. And it's interesting, he's young. He doesn't, he hasn't seen a lot of life yet, so...
He doesn't have that cynicism just yet.
Exactly. So, therefore, he gets good feelings about things, and not bad feelings.
Yeah, and I love that line. I thought that was a cheer. I think people in the theater will cheer when they hear that line.
Yes.
So... I don't mind that we are Xing off all these boxes when it comes to Han's backstory and everything we know about him and everything that made him the character who he is in the later Star Wars films.
Chris says, someone is shipping Han with his gun. Thanks, Chris.
Now, there's something else that got me excited that ties in Solo and Star Wars.
Okay.
Because we always knew there was going to be like a 10, 15-year gap between the two. Well, they made it a point to reveal Chewbacca's age.
190 years old? You look great.
Now, that wasn't there by accident. They really wanted to set the span between these two films, Solo and Star Wars. So it will be exactly 10 years before we see Han Solo next at the Mos Eisley Cantina.
Nice. Well, there you go.
So this film should be Solo a checklist story. But once again, I'm loving it.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, now, this is the first time we are seeing Paul Bettany's character, Dryden Voss.
Yes. Does he have the whippy thing?
The whippy thing.
Yeah, this red, laser
it's like brass
thing.
Knuckles.
What?
It's like brass knuckles, and it's got, laser filament.
Oh.
On right from either side of the knuckles is a blade, and on the blade, like the Praetorian Guards, it's got this laser filament.
Okay.
So this is like 3 weapons in one.
Wow.
So Dryden Voss does not play around. So he is the big crime lord that Tobias Beckett, Woody Harrelson, is working for, and now it's up to Beckett to put together a posse for Dryden Voss.
Okay. What are they? I guess they're doing the train heist, I'm assuming.
Sure.
But we don't know.
I think that train heist might be something that brings, maybe it's like a test for Han and Chewie to see if they're worthy of this gang.
Okay.
Because that would follow Western customs.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to become part of this gang, you got to prove yourself.
Right.
Now, this is all, of course, speculation.
Yes.
And I think at the very end will be something even bigger, something that ties in with the Empire.
Oh, and the Kessel Run and stuff.
Where we may see Darth Vader. Don't know, just speculating. But now, before Han really joins the band, this posse, Beckett warns him, once you've traveled down this dark path, forever will dominate your destiny. And it does. It does. Han always wanted to do the right thing by joining the Imperial Navy and making a name for himself.
That's right.
I don't think he had this in mind.
No, but he's good at it because he's a driver and he's a flyer.
Now, something else that Beckett had said, he had warned Han that don't trust anyone. They're always going to backstab you.
Mm-hmm.
Is that foreshadowing?
Well, obviously it is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I was listening to the Timeless podcast the other day, and they were saying if you show a gun in Act 1, well, that gun's going to be used by Act 3.
Right.
Or probably at the very top moment of Act 3. So, yeah. If he says that in Act 1.
So we pretty much know
there's
Beckett's outcome?
Yeah. There's going to be a turncoat in there.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's going to lead Han down a life of crime.
Mm-hmm.
And now, there's another shot that I'm really excited about.
Okay.
And I'm sure it takes place at the very climactic battle when Chewie takes one character, flings him over his head, and throws him right down on his head.
I know.
It's gotta hurt, but
I'm like, oh, Chewie.
We're finally seeing Chewie do some Wookiee kung fu fighting here.
Yeah.
He's kicking some butt here.
Yep.
And we always knew that he was liable of pulling arms out of sockets, and we saw him in Star Wars just, after the blast door opens, swings his arm, hits that Imperial officer.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't get really too much other than that. But now we're seeing Chewie lift people up and just slam them down.
Yeah.
I think we're going to see a whole new side of Chewie. And might not be for the little ones.
No. No.
But, who am I kidding? These kids see worse on cartoons.
So overall, did this make you want to see Solo, A Star Wars Story?
I am so pumped, not just because of Malla, but because of all these new elements. And I love the Western genre.
Yes.
And knowing that we already know the story going in. Not that Han and Chewie survive, because they have to, but we've already seen the same conventions from other Westerns and other films like this. I don't care. This puts a whole new spin on things.
Right.
Just like Star Wars did back in 1977, where it's stories we've already seen, but it's the way it's retold.
Yeah, I agree with that.
So there's so much to look forward to, and I've been very excited about this ever since it was announced.
Absolutely. Oh, yay. Now Solo is actually premiering at Cannes Festival.
Yeah, the film festival.
Yeah, May 8th through 19th, so somewhere in there. But of course, it's opening on May 25th. So on May 24th, where are you going to be, Skywalkers?
Joining us down at the, TCL Chinese
Theater IMAX. You almost had it.
Oh, wow. All right, join us down there with liningup.net for the big Star Wars party.
We are so excited. Now, let's hear about some fun stuff we gleaned from DK's The Last Jedi Visual Dictionary and The Last Jedi Incredible Cross-Sections with our Skywalking Through Neverland book reviewer, Jocasta Drew.
It's not about lifting rocks. It's the energy between all things.
Okay.
Close your eyes. Reach out.
I feel something.
You feel it?
Yes, I feel it.
That's the Force.
Really?
Wow, it must be really strong
Wow,
of
I've
you.
never felt any... Ow!
Will we ever be tired of talking about the minutia of The Last Jedi?
Definitely not.
Definitely not. And we're better to study up on details big and small than DK's The Last Jedi Visual Dictionary by Pablo Hidalgo and The Incredible Cross-Sections by Jason Fry.
With The Last Jedi now on Blu-ray and streaming, we can freeze frame and study every square inch of the picture like never before. Here with us now to go over selected highlights from these books is our Skywalking Through Neverland book reviewer, Jocasta Drew.
Hey, Richard and Sarah.
Hey, welcome back.
Thank you. It's great to be back.
Yeah.
We've been waiting to do this for how long now?
A few months.
Yeah. It's been on the back burner, but now we have a good excuse because now it's on DVD and Blu-ray, so people can watch The Last Jedi and look at the visual dictionary and go, oh, there's that character way in the background.
Exactly.
That I didn't notice while watching it in the theater.
Yep.
By the time this goes out, I doubt DVD will even be a thing anymore.
No.
So now let's do this. We'll go around and we'll each pick a selected entry from the visual dictionary, something that stuck out to you, something you thought, oh, now when I watch the film, I will look at that person or place or thing in a whole different way.
Right.
Great.
So, Drew, do you want to kick us off?
Yes. So I'm going to actually do something that's more obscure. Something I didn't even notice in the movie the first couple of times I saw it until I saw it in the visual dictionary, which are the tall, thin, purple people.
Oh my goodness. Yes. I have a note on this.
Yes.
Okay.
Awesome. So you can find them on page 35 in the visual dictionary. They're called the attendants. I really didn't see them, but they're standing by the Oculus, which is in the background in Snoke's throne room.
So, like, when you see Snoke's throne room, all you see is, like, the red, but somewhere in there's purple dudes.
Yeah,
right.
Off to the right
Okay.
are these guys in the shadows.
Okay, next time I watch, I'm going to be looking for them, because they caught my eye in this book as well.
Yeah, so it took me only after I saw this, then you kind of see them in the movie, really for one scene. That's it. This is what caught my eye about them. So they help them with ancient hyperspace trails And were it not for them, the Imperial survivors could not have survived in the
unknown regions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they helped with the Uncharted realm. The Imperial survivors would have been totally lost were it not for them.
So what I'm wondering is if Thrawn knows these guys, has some kind of connection to them.
I guess in the follow-up series with Thrawn and Ezra.
There you go.
We'll see more of the attendants.
It's interesting. These attendants, I guess their robes are hiding like some scaly plating or something. So what it says in the book, robes conceal segmented chitinous plates. So what that kind of sounds like to me is that they're like crustaceans underneath all those robes. Enlarged brains can process multidimensional calculations, which is how they can find these crazy hyperspace routes, I guess, in the unknown regions.
We really don't know much more than that, but apparently they helped with the Imperial survivors, and then obviously get them to where they are with the First Order and with Snoke. And even whether it's navigation or even just more science-y things like with the Oculus here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I'll just read what it says here. This is
it's their fault.
Yes.
Starkiller Base and the destruction of the New Republic.
Exactly. Yeah. So I'll read what it says here just so we can all get the gist. Snoke's retinue includes mute alien navigators who originated in the unknown regions. Were it not for the ancient hyperspace trails blazed by these towering servants, the Imperial survivors who fled into this uncharted realm would certainly have perished. These navigators designed and operate the Oculus viewing scope in Snoke's throne room. And they're just called attendants.
They look more like large purple Jawas.
They do.
Yeah.
So that's cool. I love that, Drew.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to go with my highlight from the Last Jedi Visual Dictionary, and that is the Praetorian Guards.
Yes.
Yeah.
So page 37 of the Visual Dictionary. And I wanted to focus on these guys just because I really wasn't that fond of them going into The Last Jedi, just because I wasn't crazy about their armor. You look at those helmets, like, guy, you couldn't give them some kind of a bigger view screen to look out of.
Right.
I mean, I've been in masks like that. And it's like, if I walk down the stairs, I'm going to be falling down those stairs.
Because you can't see.
It made me very, very nervous.
Yeah.
When I saw the film, I loved them. I love these guys. I loved how they harkened back to the Emperor's Royal Guards. I love their fighting styles and that whole scene with Rey and Ben Solo versus the Praetorian Guards, probably one of the best in the whole Star Wars saga.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely.
Now, in this visual dictionary, they have this description, which I found extremely, extremely interesting. The layered armor of the Praetorian Guard is a high-tech onion skin, I would have chosen something different to say, of laminate impregnated, once again, I would have chosen different wording, with conductive wire paths that once powered create an intense local magnetic field. Once this energy-intensive field activates, the powered plates can deflect blaster fire. Even a lightsaber will glance off, though a direct thrust will penetrate the shell. The mag coils are costly, the plates heavy, and mag field exposure is ultimately painful to the wearer.
Goodness.
Okay, wow. Who signed up for this job? But such are the sacrifices of protecting the supreme leader. The Praetorians endure this out of unswerving loyalty and duty.
Yep.
It's not clear if they're even really First Order. Because on page 37, it says the origin of the Praetorians remain a mystery, and then it talks about the name on page 37, which is really... It's not clear whether they're First Order people or they're just there to protect him.
I would figure they rose up through the ranks of the First Order.
Or are they just Snoke's attendants?
Right, but where were they trained? But I think it's a special elite force within the First Order.
On page 37, it says the origins of the Praetorians remain a mystery. The name itself dates back to the 14th Atrizian Emperor of Ketel Fard.
Right. That doesn't mean that they weren't part of the First Order.
Oh, they could have been absorbed, you're saying, into the First Order.
That, and plus we don't know who they are underneath. I think I'm reading it as we don't know who's underneath those uniforms. Uh-huh. I think for me, that's what it says. It could be aliens, could be humans, who knows. So that's what I'm getting out of that. And the fact that it's also very heavy. This is very uncomfortable armor to wear.
How do you fight in something so heavy? Well, I have a Canto Fun Byte.
Oh.
A fun fact about, but it looks like Drew wants to say something.
I wanted to build off what Richard said because I also found these Praetorian Guards super, super cool. And on page 36, it says that there are 8 of them and that they actually are 4 sets of pairs with each pair brandishing the same weapons, which is in the movie, you get that there are differences among some of them, but this really clears it up that there are 4 pairs.
Yes.
Which is just so really cool.
And one of them is a female, one of the Praetorian Guards that fights Rey. Oh. Now, going back and watching the film multiple times, okay, I guess.
Right. It's hard to tell.
Don't see it, but they're all moving so fast.
Yeah.
And their weapons have a electric filament that runs up and down the blade. So it's not just a regular sword. So that is what enables it to parry a lightsaber.
Right.
Yeah.
Because when you're watching it, you're thinking, wait a minute. Now, Lucas clearly said, I know they're not really relying on what Lucas said, but no weapon should be able to block a lightsaber because then that just takes the uniqueness of a lightsaber out of the equation. We have a darksaber. We'll give you that.
Well, I have a bit of trivia then. Do you know why there are 8 guards?
Because the First Order aesthetic heavily favors symmetry.
Ah, there you go.
Yes.
Okay, what was your favorite Praetorian Guard weapon?
Ooh, that's a good stumper.
I know mine.
I do too. I'm going to go ahead and say the Electro Chain Whip.
No, man. That's mine. That's mine.
First, it's a sword, then it's a whip.
Yep.
It's 2 weapons in one.
Awesome. And it looks cool.
It looks very, very cool.
Which is why I like it.
That is undoubtedly cool. That might be the coolest. Close second would be the twin vibro arbor blades that could separate. That's pretty cool. But yes, the Electro Chain Whip is ridiculously cool.
What was your favorite Praetorian kill?
Oh, definitely the one where she throws Kylo the lightsaber and he turns it on, flicks it on, and it's in his eye.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I'm going to say the one that
I mean, I actually swore when the first time I saw that. Remember that in the theater? I was like, oh, out loud.
More editing for me.
Sarah swears.
I'm going to say when Rey backs that one into that reactor shaft.
Oh.
And a second later, you see a little poof of red fabric come up. It's like, woo, what happened to the rest of that person?
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, and the fabric was like in pieces.
Yeah,
that was not good.
But so I would say a close second would be the one that gets it through the eye.
Yeah. What about you?
That's my number one. Because it's great teamwork.
Yeah.
All right. So Sarah, a highlight. What is one of your highlights from this book?
Okay. So my highlight actually is like the first page where we get actual text, which is page 8 and 9 that contains the map of the galaxy. I just love my maps and just seeing the spatial awareness of the galaxy all laid out and like where all the planets are that we know. And there's not just planets here from The Last Jedi. You get planets from Rogue One. You get Endor. You get all the planets that mean something of late. What I really thought was interesting was the fact that you see Crate and it's on the south side of the galaxy, right? So they're going from Dakar to Crate, and there's a little line to show where the ship is going. Well, then you think, okay, well, Rose and Finn went to Cantonica to get this Master Codebreaker so they can then go back to Crate and break in. Well, this must be kind of a closed planet, right? No, it's on like the opposite side of the galaxy.
But does it matter if you have light speed?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, light speed should matter in some effects, but in Star Wars, a light speed trip, no matter how far you're going, is 3 minutes. And then there was another highlight on that page, and that is the fact that Ahch-To has twin sons. And so, we think, oh, that must be true. Well, director Rian Johnson said after this book came out that he actually meant it to be up to interpretation, whether that was a binary system or not. Ooh. So that was actually an incorrect fact.
Well, that really takes the whole ending with Luke Skywalker and him seeing the twin sons. That just takes that whole symbolism out if you do that.
Well, no, I think it heightens the symbolism. if it's normally like a one sun planet, but then at the end he sees twin suns. It's like, oh, meh. And I'm saying everywhere else in the film, you only see one sun or one source of light. And then at the end, you see the twin suns. So I believe it's a single sun system.
Right. So going back to what I just said, if it happens to be a twin sun system,
right,
then Luke's looking out there and seeing the twin suns, like, well, that was going to happen whether he just went through this big, giant force leap or not.
Exactly.
But if it's only a single sun planet and he looks out there and he sees the twin suns, the circle is now complete.
Exactly.
Well, the circle can be complete either way, by the way. I love this ambiguity of whether there's really one or two for Ahch-To, but if it has two, that means he's starting his life and ending his life on planets with twin suns, either way. Or it's poetic either way.
Okay.
Or even if he just sees it and that's his own personal experience, like his beginning on Tatooine.
Right.
Great. Even if for everybody else in the Porgs, it's really just one sun.
Okay. I just think it's more poetic that he just sees it himself.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying too.
Right.
Brings a tear to your eye.
Yeah.
But the whole scene was powerful enough that him looking out there and seeing the twin suns, I just want to focus on what Luke Skywalker just accomplished. And I know you can go different ways, and him looking out and seeing those Tatooine twin suns, like, oh, okay, it's all wrapping up. And would you want to reflect back to Tatooine, of all places?
Why not?
Have you been to Tatooine? Or have you seen Tatooine?
Even so, it's this lovely literary envelope that connects both sort of his origin, his getting out of Tatooine and going on this Jedi journey, and then this is at the very tail end of his own Jedi journey, as it were. And so it's connecting both the beginning with the end.
Well, what if you looked out there and saw an asteroid field, like on Polis Massa, where he was born?
So what's the next what's the next highlight we want to bring up?
Moving on. What is another highlight from this book?
Great. So this is so random, but the caretakers, I learned, are only the females of their species. So the caretakers, the
Lanai.
The Lanais, or Lanai? Is that how?
I say Lanai.
Lanai. So the Lanai actually have male counterparts. Who knew? You need two sexes, right? So
what kind of school did you go to?
All right. So these male Lanai who don't show up in the theatrical release are known as visitors because once a month they come back from their fishing expeditions and then they have a music and dance and food festival to celebrate their return, and then they ship out back to sea.
And romances are rekindled.
Yes. Yes. So you can find out more on page 51 about specifically the male Lanai, the visitors. And I just found that really fascinating, even though they were entirely absent from the cinematic release, but it was still interesting.
You know, what I like about this is that when we were first learning about The Last Jedi, we learned that there's caretakers and they look like nuns, and you're like, okay, typical, like, nun females taking care of people. But then, I mean, come to this book and you learn about the males and it's like, oh, okay, good. It's like a full society. Yeah. It's not just the nuns.
And plus it makes that deleted scene that much more poignant.
Mm-hmm.
So in that deleted scene, you have the Lanai party where Luke tricks Rey into thinking that's one thing, but it's not. So now, after reading this book and reading the part on the Lanai, it's like, oh, okay, that party they were holding was because the males were just coming back.
Mm-hmm.
But in the deleted scene, when you're watching it, you're just thinking the Lanais are just party creatures. You don't get that there's a whole reason for that party. There's something going on.
Right, right. All right, do you want to learn a Canto Fun Bite?
As always.
Yes.
About these Lanai? So the Lanai, as you said, are kind of a musical species, and they speak a lot, but they do write a little bit, and the Lanai writing is like cuneiform marks. So that's, you write in pictures, and it's based on the shape of their feet.
Oh.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah. That is a Canto Fun Bite.
It is.
If I ever heard one.
So I thought that was fun.
All right. Good deal. So, Drew, what else you have?
All right. So while I'm still thinking about Ahch-To, is what was Chewbacca doing the entire time when he was on the planet, on that island? So
Clearly, you didn't read Chewie and the Porgs.
Well,
he was fishing, he was playing games, playing hide and go seek.
Right. So Chewie and the Porgs, right. He's all about food because he's really hungry and Wookiees need thousands of calories every single day.
Up to 6,000 calories a day.
Exactly. A lot more than the regular human body. So he was in that book going out, trying to figure out food because he was not going to eat Porgs apparently. I don't know why, but even though, super fun fact. He apparently, on page 53.
Wait. What are you going to say? I'm going to ask this question. What is a Wookiee's favorite part of a roasted porg?
There we go. It's the legs, even though they're dry and crunchy.
They're crunchy porg legs.
Yes.
You two are very disgusting. You sicken me.
Look, a lot of Chewie's time on Ahch-To was trying to figure out his food situation. Mm-hmm. He needs thousands of calories a day.
Yes.
There's a huge ocean out there. You don't have to eat a cute little porg.
Population control. So anyways, what I found really fascinating on page 54 was that he was reacquainting himself after decades away from the Millennium Falcon. Apparently, there had been recent changes made to his beloved ship in the intervening years. Whether it's
Unkar Plutt.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, there were many owners, apparently, in between Han and Unkar Plutt.
Something Brothers and...
Thanks, Irving Brothers.
Right, so he was trying to reset these many changes and get it back to the way he liked to have his Millennium Falcon. So I found that super interesting.
Okay, so that's what he was doing a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Besides finding stuff to eat.
Exactly.
All right, Richard, do you have another highlight?
Yes, on the very, 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 very last page, there is a character that I still cannot find. Even though we went back into The Last Jedi, I cannot find this character anywhere. His name is Colonel Guswan Askrith. Sound familiar?
Why
Look
do they
familiar?
make these names like this?
I don't know, but he was a cyborg with many body parts replaced with repurposed components. A repurposed Imperial Stormtrooper breath mask covered the lower part of Askrith's face, and the Colonel's legs and waist were replaced by a customized FX-8 trunk with hidden casters.
Whoa.
Now, when I saw that his body was the body of the medical droid FX-7 from The Empire Strikes Back, that was it. I almost chose this over the Praetorian Guards.
Wow.
I know, but look at that. Look at that body. That's awesome.
Where is he supposed to appear?
No idea.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't even say anything about where he is. It just is like on the last page of acknowledgments.
All right. Askrith's left arm was replaced with a refurbished 2-1B surgical droid limb. So he's like all medical droid here.
Except for his other arm, which is arthritic.
Yeah. And then what flesh the cyborg had left was orange in color, and the Colonel's eyes were black. Okay, he's part FX-7 and part 2-1B.
Yeah.
He should have been on Ahch-To taking care of Luke.
Seriously.
That would have been perfect. Other than that, I don't know where to find this guy. I'm figuring he's somewhere on Canto Byte.
Huh.
I don't know.
It's not clear whether he's First Order or Resistance or
Right.
Yeah,
or Rich.
Well, he's black and white, so Canto Byte was mostly black and white, so I'm assuming Canto Byte.
But, he's got the breath mask of a stormtrooper, so, maybe he is part First Order. Because we did see FX droids and the 2-1B droids on Mustafar repairing Darth Vader. So,
although then again, putting Colonel in quotation marks can make it just a nickname, and that's why he's not in either army and just a Canto Bytean.
Pablo, we need your help.
You are
all right.
Hope.
When we're done with this, we got to tweet out Pablo. Who is this guy?
Okay. All right, are we ready, you guys?
We're ready.
Are you ready for Canto Fun Bytes?
Yeah.
Well, here we go. So some of these are going to be little trivia questions, and some of them are just going to be little fun facts.
Great.
What does Admiral Akbar call young Mon Calamari officers?
I would say like squidlings or something along those lines.
That would be awesome. Okay, I guess. I like that.
Yeah. I know that's wrong.
Squidwards.
I would love that. But no, he calls them fry.
Fry?
Fry.
Yeah.
And they're fried calamari.
Your tongues can't repel flavor of that magnitude.
You know what? I think
Pablo Hidalgo for the win.
I think Pablo is fried when he's writing most of this.
I thought that was awesome. Oh my God.
Wow.
So
That's a good one.
that was the first fact I saw that I was like, oh my gosh, I have to talk about this.
Yeah.
Next, we're going to move on to Finn. Did you know that his Bacta suit is past its expiration date? which is why it was sprouting back to all over the place.
Well, the fact that he fell off the table pulling hoses out of everywhere, I think that may have helped.
That too, but it was thinner material because it was past its expiration date.
This changes everything.
I know.
I will never watch that scene the same way again.
All right, are you ready? We're going to move on to General Hux. Now, I'm going to give some serious porg points to whoever gets this. What exactly is that expression that General Hux always has?
Anger?
The look I give you when you leave the lights on?
A remorseless gaze.
Ooh.
I'm not even kidding you. This is on page 26. And there's a little line leading to Hux's head. And it says, remorseless gaze.
You know when you just need to fill some space?
Yep.
Well, DK let it through, so it's great.
Yep. Okay, and what is Hug's favorite beverage?
Mr. Pibb.
It is apparently bitter terrine tea.
Oh, I was going to say that.
So I think
I was going to say that.
What you should have said was tea, bitter terrine, hot, just like Earl Grey.
Where is that?
Are you mixing franchises
Where is
again?
it?
Yeah.
It is. There's a picture of his coffee cup, his coffee mug.
Oh, right down there.
Oh, yeah, wow. That's great.
It's like, we need something. There's a coffee cup over there. Just throw it in there.
See, that's why these are fun Canto Bites, because, oh my gosh, you would never know. So, okay, now we're going to move on to Rose. And I have a thing for jewelry, so there's a lot of interesting fun facts about the jewelry.
Interesting what?
Canto Fun Bytes.
There you go.
Okay, so Rose's resistance ring is actually an antique from the Galactic Civil War, and it was once used to show support for the rebellion in the Imperial Senate. So that's why there's the sneaky, like she can turn it so that either the rebel symbol shows or it doesn't show.
Mm-hmm. Has that been merchandised yet?
I'm sure I've seen it somewhere. Yeah.
You would figure that was one of the first things they would market.
Well, I know that Holdo's jewelry has, like her wrist guards. You can buy those somewhere. I forget the manufacturer at this point.
It's not an Etsy thing?
It probably is. But there might be some licensed versions as well. All right, we're going to move on to Holdo's jewelry now. Holdo's jewelry actually represents her homeworld, Gadalenta. The bracelets are like the constellations on Gadalenta, so each of them has kind of a different design. And then her headpiece represents the multiple suns of Gadalenta. There's like multiple arcs.
Do you know which book it first appears in?
Which one?
Gadalenta.
Gadalenta? Yeah. Was it in the Young Leia novel?
It was before that.
Oh.
Splinter of the Mind's Eye?
I'm going to say... No.
Canon.
A Bloodline?
Oh.
Yes, Bloodline. Gadalenta is mentioned several times throughout that book.
Cool.
Yeah.
Now I got to read it again, having known about Holdo and
I got to read it again for the first time.
Young Leia.
There you go. It's definitely one of my favorites of the new canon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, now we're going to move on to Octo. And you guys remember the mosaic in the floor of the Octo Temple?
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what that is an image of?
Yes.
All right.
It's a person with both the dark side and the light side.
Okay, and what the book says here is that it is actually an image of the Prime Jedi, so the first Jedi, in a state of meditation and balance.
The first couple of times I saw the movie, I was so curious. What is that in the water? They keep meeting around this image, and it wasn't until I saw it in this book. Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah. That's cool.
They put so much attention in all this stuff. Yeah. I want to see it a little more. And I know it would be like a 15-hour movie if they focused on Hux's cup and Askrith, the colonel there. So they can't go into all of it, but something as important as the Prime Jedi meditating.
Well, after you see it in this book and go back and watch it, you can still see it there. It's right. I mean, obviously they don't show it to you head on.
Yeah.
But it's still really neat once you know what it is. Once you see it in this book, it makes sense. And, and it's there. It helps add to the whole ambiance.
Yeah, I mean you know, it's something. It's not just a mosaic for mosaic's sake.
Yeah.
So it is interesting seeing that and wanting to know more and going to look it up. Like, this movie is like a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
You find all these interesting facts.
Well, and that's why these books exist, so that you can expand your world if you want to.
I don't know how much of it is already in the movie and Pablo's just elevating and surfacing some of the elements that are already there. Like, for instance,
what
this
you mean
reflecting
making it as
pool.
it goes along.
And some of it, of course, is just his own, like the coffee mug. That's really not part of the story.
Or Hux's remorseless gaze.
Right. So some of that clearly is Pablo's creative self coming out, and hey, there are all these random, especially the artifacts scattered throughout the movie.
Yes.
That's not really something you necessarily pay attention to or necessarily see, but for him, it helps develop that world building. It helps give you a greater sense of what's going on. So I think that adds to the fun.
It's a lot of fun knowing that things aren't there just for a reason, like Luke's compass. Now knowing that it's from Battlefront 2, that's the compass that didn't he take that from Palpatine's?
Recovered from one of the Emperor's observatories on Pilio, this antiquated star compass was among the Jedi relics hoarded by the Emperor during his rule.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't have to know that while watching the movie, but seeing these little artifacts makes you want to go and pick up a book like this and go, aha, this scene is so much more rich now.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even looking at her dwelling in The Force Awakens, seeing all those items spread everywhere. There was like a story behind each and every one of them.
Yes. So now we're going to move on to Executioner Trooper armor. Now, did you know that this armor does not broadcast the ID of the stormtrooper inside to other stormtroopers? The stormtroopers are anonymous. Because sometimes the stormtroopers have to kill other stormtroopers that disobeyed the rules. Okay, well, let's move on to something more fun. We're going to go to Canto Bite. You guys ready?
Yes.
Okay, Zord's Spa and Bathhouse offers a fantastic array of spa treatments. So, which one would you choose? Would you choose a zero-gravity massage, an ozone chamber, a medicated rinse, a mud tank, or a gill flush?
Oh. I don't think I want any of those.
I don't know what any of those are, but ozone chamber sounds the best to me.
Okay, interesting. I would choose a
Why?
zero-gravity massage.
It sounds like it's healthy air. It's somehow, it's kind of like, it reminds me when you go to those oxygen bars or whatever. So
yes.
maybe it helps you breathe.
Mm-hmm. See, I would choose a zero-gravity massage, though I'm curious how that works. Because if you're in zero gravity, how do you get any kind of like push down without moving the person?
Okay.
But I'd be interested to see how that would work.
Yeah.
I think I'd go for a Twilight massage. Was that an option?
That was not an option.
Okay.
Different planet.
I just added to the list something that I would want.
But now I know. Interesting. Okay. Now, Richard.
Or a Size Noodles rub down.
Ew.
She also kills her lovers.
Hey, whoa. I'm not saying taking it there.
You'll have to talk to the Mandervillians about this. Okay, now, I'm surprised, Richard, that one of your highlights was not the fathier jockeys. Do you remember seeing a picture of these guys?
I do.
What do they look like?
Davy Jones.
They look like Power Rangers. Did you see their outfits?
I was going for more of a Davy Jones thing.
Oh my goodness, they're totally Power Rangers.
The red spandex? Red shiny spandex?
They're different colors. What page?
It's 62.
The fathiers are their Megazords.
I don't know what that means, but yes.
Now, on the opposite page right over here, there's the three stable kids, including Broom Boy. Mm-hmm. I really wish they had focused more on those kids.
Really?
Well, there's only so much time in the movie.
You know what? Take out the glaring gaze. Take out Hux's coffee cup.
Oh, you mean in the book? You wanted them to focus more. That would be good.
You know what? Maybe we don't really need to see a close up of Snoke's gold slippers. Well, no, strike that. We do need to see them. Okay, but there's other things in there that let's take those out and give more background on these kids.
Well, we get a little bit, even in this book, where it says they are children abandoned on Kintanica by losing gamblers. So, and their small size assist in navigating the cramped confines of the stable. So there's a little bit in here, even more than the coffee mug.
Doesn't tell us what they drink.
Right.
And what kind of gaze they're looking at. Yeah, I know they can't go that far because I know they're still fleshing out that storyline with Broom Boy. So there's only so much you can say, but the fact that they made these toys, the fact that they were acting out the crate battle scene, let's give some background on that. I want to see the story about these kids, what language they speak.
Wow.
Yeah, there's just so much there that I would have liked to have seen.
Wow.
Just saying.
Okay.
Pablo?
Okay, well, are we ready for the final Canto Fun Fact?
Final?
Yeah, let's do it.
We're going to head to Crate for this one. And here, the First Order walkers, all of them, all the different types, assemble in a certain formation. Do you guys remember what this formation is? From the book, anyway. They never say this in the film.
Is it related to Hoth?
Yes.
It's one of the generals.
Veers?
Yeah, the Veers formation.
Oh my gosh, you're right. They assemble in the classic Veers formation.
Did you just pull that out, or did you read that in the book? Did you just pull it out of your own head by deductive reasoning?
I mean, the whole scene is trying to emulate Hoth in sort of in a way, so it's hard not to forget the most famous general
I'm going to take credit for half of that.
You did say Veers. That was awesome. No, by deductive reasoning, you guys got it.
Yes.
So, congrats. High five.
Teamwork.
Yeah.
I have a question. The character who pops all those coins into BB-8, is he in this book?
No, he is not.
I'm so shocked. They have all these characters, even the characters from the spa who are not in the movie.
Yeah.
But the guy who's popping those coins. Yeah.
Voiced by Mark Hamill. Well, they couldn't have him in the book because we needed a page devoted to Hux's coffee mug.
Yeah, I was surprised. They have all these characters, but not the one who actually plays a role in the story.
That's a good point. Drew, how would you rate this book?
I really enjoyed it. From seeing The Force Awakens, Rogue One, and now this visual dictionary by Pablo Hidalgo, I really enjoyed it. It really helped create more of the world building that we saw in The Last Jedi. Really excellent stuff with Snoke's throne room, which was really neat, and some of the characters, and Ahch-To, which was really cool. My one little thing I didn't care for was we missed that guy from Canto Byte. Okay. I didn't know his name because he was not in this book.
The droid was the little figure that he pops the coins into.
Yeah,
that was in there.
The gambling machines.
Yeah, the gambling machine.
Yeah.
We talked about that.
Yeah,
how it was on repulsors and all this stuff.
Yeah. Sarah?
So, admittedly, this is a book that if I wasn't doing a podcast about it, I probably wouldn't have picked up. Just because, well, I like the story books. Like, I like novels. So I'm in it for stories. Even growing up, like, my mom would read these self-help books, and I'm like, well, that's not a story. That's boring. So that's just me and how I do that. But having picked it up to review for the podcast, I thought it was fun, and I had a lot of fun just compiling all the random fun facts that will probably fly out of my head in a month. But right now, I just think they're cute.
You've got a lot of notes there, too. It's great.
I took a lot of notes because there was a lot of fun stuff. And I really liked learning about the caretakers.
I loved the Rogue One visual dictionary. There was so much great information in there. And I was hoping when I got this, I would get as much out of it as I did the Rogue One book and even The Force Awakens. I know they're going for a younger audience, so it was very simplistically written. But I took that into consideration because I knew it was for the young audience. And how heavy can you actually get? I love the fact that we have all of this stuff in the movie that we just gloss by. Camera flies by a lot of it, but yet here we are. We can take a look at it. And like I was saying earlier, do we need Hux's sippy cup? No. Do we need to know more about Broom Boy? Yes. And as funny as I thought having Snoke's gold slippers in there.
Oh, that was awesome.
That just seemed like, you know what? Let's just throw this in there. People will love it. It was funny, but to me, it put Snoke up on more of a comedic level. Like, he's wearing these slippers? What is he, Peter Cushing? I just felt like there could have been more content.
Okay. Sometimes you don't know what things to highlight versus what gets highlighted in the film.
I'm sure Pablo got the full script, and
I know.
he had access to everything. Now, wasn't it pictures from this book that leaked out before the movie came out?
Really?
I want to say yes. Or am I confusing it with Lego sets? I know
sets definitely leaked.
Things always get leaked. It's always because of Lego.
Right.
But I think a few pages got leaked from this book.
But, I mean, it's interesting looking at this versus, I'm just thinking back to the Force Awakens visual dictionary, where you had some other pages that were dedicated, that huge pictures of characters who were in there for maybe two shots. Obviously, Captain Zuvio being one of the most famous, but it even had that green reptilian guy, Sarlacc, or whatever his name. I forget his name. And there were a couple other characters in there that were clearly cut out from the cinematic release, because he doesn't see the final, version when it needs to go to press. Mm-hmm. But I will say, one of the things I love about these books, even when when Pablo includes all these things that end up on the cutting room floor, it's still really neat to see what could have been what was out there. Like in the Rogue One dictionary, where you have a whole bunch of people with half of their heads still on. Right. Which had nothing to do with anything in the movie, but it was still interesting to understand what was going on at Jedha at the time.
Yes. Yeah, Jedha was fascinating.
Yeah, I'm still just so concerned with where Colonel Gus One Asquith is in this movie. If you get half of a FX7 body, I'm in. Great. Now I want this action figure. All right, now, do you know what I want? I want to hear all about the Last Jedi Cross-Sections book.
Let's do it.
Look at that segue.
Yeah.
All right, so, Drew, you went through this book. I know this is right up your alley.
Yeah, you're going to be our eyes and ears on this.
This is a genre book, this Star Wars Last Jedi Incredible Cross-Sections by Jason Fry and illustrated by Kemp Remillard. It is a book that before a few years ago I would never have even picked up, never would have looked at, until I came across a couple years ago The Force Awakens Cross-Sections, which we reviewed on Skywalking Through Neverland episode 121.
Look at that. It's homework.
Yeah, I came prepared. So that was an eye-opening. It was a new genre to me. For me, all the technical details on these different parts of the ships were I didn't really care for that. Who needs all this information? All these little details, they add nothing to the story for me. So with that having been said, I mentioned on that episode 121 that there were some fun things, especially with the Millennium Falcon, like something that Han put in after he got married to Leia as a wedding gift. And so there are some interesting things they did, and even some of the stuff with the transport ship that Han and Chewie had been hauling the Rathtars on. So there was some really fascinating stuff with the Force Awakens cross-sections. Here, I found the little tiny details to be less pertinent, less interesting, but there's a lot more information in this book than simply the small little details. So there are what I would like to say 4 different sort of areas of content, of information. So yes, there are the small little detail pieces, which for the most part are just sort of there. And, if you really just want to nerd out on this, go for it. It's great. There's no other place you can find this. But there are 3 others. One, there's these data files, these sort of like info boxes that have random more information, which is, again, you can find it's, interesting.
Well, like the manufacturer, the model number, the class, stuff like that for ships. Exactly.
But there are 2 other content info boxes that I find are really interesting. So one is sort of the introductory paragraph to each of these ships or section of ships, as it were. And that gives you a general introduction, a general sense of what the ship is. But then what I found, and everybody's different, everybody's going to have their own preferences, but these other little paragraphs, maybe a handful of paragraphs for each ship or section of ships, which have further information and really go more in depth into what they are, as well as putting them in their places within the larger Star Wars galaxy or this movie in particular. So I found those
connections. It connected it.
Yeah. So I found that really interesting.
Nice.
Yeah. So the thing that stands out to me by far of this book is the one where we have, so most of these ships are on 2 pages or 2-page layouts, but there's one 4-page layout in the book, which really stands out. Now, in The Force Awakens, there's also a 4-pager with the finalizer, but here it's with the capital ship of Snoke, and it is incredibly awesome. And I really could just come up with a top 10 list of just top 10 neat things about this. And even the details are really, really, really cool. So you find out, and this actually does have to do with the larger story of not only this movie, The Last Jedi. So the ship is called the Supremacy for those taking notes at home, but it's not only about this ship and this movie, but also the larger story going on between the First Order, the Resistance, and the galaxy at large.
Ooh. So like some of the politics, dare we say?
Some of the politics, but to just... okay, so it can hold it can not only hold different Star Destroyers and Super Star Destroyers, but it's also where they build ships. They build stuff. They have training grounds. They have so many. It really is like its own city, and they have a big production. It is a massive production facility, really.
The First Order Star Destroyers are bigger than the Imperial Star Destroyers.
Right.
And if this can hold, what are we looking at, like 5?
No.
8,
1,
2,
2,
oh boy.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Yes.
9 Star Destroyers?
So on page 20, you can find that the Supremacy is able to dock 8 Star Destroyers at once, 6 externally, so like in the back, and then 2 internally to work on them. So this is basically the shipyards, essentially, for the First Orders. And those are just the Star Destroyers. Forget about and all the other ships and any land ships they want to have, like the ATM-6s that we see land on Crate and the other as well. So this is huge. Now, you could really just spend time going through all the pieces, but I think what's really, really, really significant about this, even though we don't really see much of it in the movie, but when Amilyn Holdo does her kamikaze move, her final act in her life, sure, we see her destroy this huge ship, but if this ship is the main shipyards of the First Order, this is where they do the repair stuff. This is really their mobile headquarters.
Well, it's kind of like a planet. I mean, they said there's like millions of people on this ship, right?
Yeah, so this is actually a devastating loss for the First Order. Not just, yes, they lose their head, Supreme Leader Snoke, but also this is their mobile headquarters.
And whereas in The Force Awakens, they lost the Starkiller base, now they lost the Supremacy.
Right. And although even at the end of The Force Awakens, Snoke tells Kylo Ren, okay, whatever, like we lost Starkiller base. Okay, we'll come back, we'll regroup. No big deal. Right. But here, this does actually seem like a bigger deal of a loss than Starkiller base. Starkiller base was a big weapon, just like we saw at the beginning of the movie with the Dreadnought. Sure, it's a loss of a massive ship that can do heavy surface damage all the way from outer space. It can do that orbital bombardment.
Right.
But here, this is much more, and I think it has also a symbolic sense of loss. It really.
Well, this is Snoke's ship.
It's Snoke's ship, yes, but it really rips the heart out of it. Yes, Snoke might have been the human heart or whatever he was. Whatever, I don't know what species he is, but also it's like the symbolic heart of the First Order as well.
Yeah.
So we didn't really see in this movie how it's emotionally hit the First Order or what it's done to them morale wise or anything, but it's a huge loss to them. At least that's just what I get from that huge 4-page layout, which makes it look really, really awesome.
Yeah, just looking at it in the book, I'm intimidated. Yeah. And oddly enough, if you look on page 21, it does say that there is no place to park a speeder bike. I kid you not. I was kidding about that.
Yeah. I do want to share something which also, you mentioned page 21, so I will pick this out from page 21,
perfect.
which I think really underscores how how special this ship is and important. So it is the First Order's most devastating war machine and de facto headquarters, but it is also one of the regime's premier factories and research labs with industrial capabilities that rival those of the most productive First Order worlds. Within the Supremacy's armor decks are departments reserved for conceiving, researching, and approving new weapons and technology, well-stocked raw material reserves, Duracell foundries, and state-of-the-art production lines, as well as training centers where young cadets are indoctrinated. And it cannot be cut off from supply lines because it carries them on board.
Wow.
Now, how many gift shops does it have?
A lot, I'm sure. But that just goes to show how important of a headquarters, and it's really just its own mobile army, and it brings everything everywhere.
It's like a country on Earth that can actually move around.
Yeah.
Wow.
How do you think Kylo feels about this? On one hand, it's like, oh, we lost all these ships. On the other hand, it's like, well, you know what? We can start all over again.
Let the past die.
That's his mantra.
Yeah, I think he's excited about it, as Sarah mentioned. Let the past die. Yeah. He's excited. Also, it's the new power thing. That was Snoke's ship, and that represents really him not having the ultimate power. Yep. And now he has that.
Right. But on the other hand, it's like, oh, I could have used that ship.
All right. So a few other ships I want to highlight. Nothing as awesome as that, but there are still some really interesting ships. So one are the various ships that the First Order sets down on Crate. Not really ships, but they're military vehicles. So one which we really don't see and doesn't have such a huge thing, but is the ATHH, the all-terrain heavy hauler. So the coolest thing is that it's kind of like a crustacean.
Oh, wow.
So, or like it borrows a strategy from the insect world. More legs means greater stability. So it actually has 3 rows of legs. So the front row holds 11 legs and the rear 2 rows have 10. So it can be repositioned. It can be moved around. So I don't know how often they need to deploy these ATHHs, but they are really, really, really sturdy moving vehicles.
And they're used to like haul the big giant
the big
Super Siege
cannon.
Yeah.
Wow,
yeah, they're
nice.
huge. So that, and then the ATM-6, the walkers,
the gorilla walker.
Exactly. So they're like massive AT-ATs. So they look like apes or gorillas. Mm-hmm. And they actually are not just simply there for the psychological effect, the gorilla effect, but they're also there for really a function of stabilizing. So they have a huge cannon, and it has the Mega Caliber 6 turbo laser cannon, which dominates the walker's massive fuselage. And so what the knuckling does is really to stabilize that massive cannon it's got.
Oh yeah, right before it bombards onto Luke Skywalker, it's great how it just positions itself.
Like on its knuckles.
Yeah. It gets ready for the power that's supposed to come from it.
Yeah.
Because if it didn't, I'm sure it would just be blown backwards.
Yeah, exactly. So I also found interesting they mention about the bombers that we only see at the beginning of the movie.
Yes.
Where were they in the previous movie? Right? They could have, when they were making the attack on Starkiller Base, why didn't they use bombers?
Okay.
So the reason is, and for anybody who's read Cobalt Squadron, is because they were out doing a mission elsewhere.
Oh.
All of their bombers. So Cobalt Squadron is the book that focuses on Rose and Paige Tico, and it takes place both before, during, and I suppose after The Force Awakens.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a really neat book. It really focuses on the sisters' relationship and how close they are. Just a fun little fact. So in the book, throughout the entire thing, Rose never wants to leave Paige's side. They're always together. There's even a mission at some point where, because Rose she's a talented she's a talented mechanic. She actually creates something. She invents basically a cloaking device from radar.
Wow.
And I think that's what they use when they escape the big ship.
Oh,
when they escape at the end, get out to Crate. So they use basically her cloaking devices. That's why they're not on the radar. What she does, so they need her expertise. So they say, hey, can you please go to another ship? Like, they really need another mechanic. And she says, no, absolutely not. Like, I'm not leaving my sister's side. I always am with my sister on the same ship, which is, spoiler, the very end of the book. Vice Admiral Holdo asks her, because she sees her incredible talents as a mechanic with the bombers, she says, hey, can you come over to our ship? I really need your help. And that's how they get separated for the beginning of The Last Jedi, where Paige is out on the bomber and Rose is not.
Right.
And so that's how they become separated.
Wow.
It's a good book. I recommend it.
Yeah.
So I just found that really interesting, is that's why they were, I know it's probably just retconning, but still it's a nice little retcon.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they may have that worked out as they're writing the script, writing the story, and they're saying, okay, well, how can we bridge these little gaps here? And we can do it in either comic book or a video game or a novel.
Yeah.
So I think that was all written at the same time.
Yeah.
And there are some things you can tell, like the visual dictionary that was written afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah. So I want to throw in one little thing, which is the ship that DJ steals. It's called the Libertine. So it wasn't intended to go to Canto Bight, but they just needed to make a stop, which I thought was really funny. He was frustrated by a failed deal with Zygerian slavers, so he ordered his pilots to divert to Kintonica for a restorative night on the town. And so
do we know whose ship it was?
Yes, his name was Benix I, Corfei Benix I. He was born into wealth on Selenon and a top-ranking manager for the CNR Jameis Corporation.
And do we see him in Canto Bight?
Not that I know of. I think that this little thing about the Libertine and what we learn about the ship's owner, there are a lot of things I mentioned, like the ships have these random details, but at the same time, some of these paragraphs build into the story and also shape a larger world going on with The Last Jedi. And that I think is really interesting, even for the people who are not interested in all the technical pieces.
Right.
Okay, so one thing I do want to throw in, I have to mention is, so these paragraphs are really informational. So one of the very first ships that I wanted to learn about, which is actually on the cover, is the speeder, right? These ski speeders on Crate.
Yes.
So I was really curious because in the movie you see Finn struggling to drive his ski speeder, and then Rose says, "No, you need to put down that coil to stabilize it." Right, the monoski. And I'm like, "What? What's going on with that?" The book, I'm just going to spoil it right now, but the book says the ventral monoski stabilizes the speeder, ensuring its powerful engine supplies thrust and not lift. Okay, very simple, very straightforward. And there are other aspects about these ships that were mentioned in the book. Okay. There is the paragraphs that talk about the ski speeder. I know that this book was written by Jason Fry, but I couldn't help but think that these paragraphs were, if not written by, at least discussed over with Pablo Hidalgo, because the level of depth of storytelling that goes into these is almost to a comical level. Okay. So they go into this huge historical background of these ski speeders.
Wow.
Yeah. So apparently the early empire witnessed a fad for asteroid slalom. And these ski speeders... Slalom. They were doing slalom.
Oh.
And so these ski speeders were initially created for those particular races in that early imperial era. So then they have 2 paragraphs dedicated to these historical developments going on. And it keeps going on and talks about how they were then modified from those racing, the asteroid slalom, to then doing something else, maybe mining, and then they were refitted by the rebels to then have cannons on them. So it's a whole historical development. Like, you could have just simply said they were used for X, Y, or Z by the rebels, but no, he has to go way back, go back to the imperial era, and talk about all these developments with these speeders, which is it really is comical. But at the same time, it shows you the type of palette that they're working with, such a huge universe of world building and what stories could be told. And it's not just about these small technical details. It really can be amusing.
Yes.
And
they're important ships too to focus on.
Yeah, there are a lot of other important ships. And like, for instance, the ship, the Radis, was
named after Admiral Radis.
Right. Which is a nice
One.
connection to the previous theatrical release.
Yes.
And it does provide a really great companion piece to the visual dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in some ways there are a lot of things in the visual dictionary, and it's clear that the visual dictionary is clearly written fully well knowing that this book also exists. So it really doesn't have to touch upon the ships much, and just referring you to this reference book, The Incredible Cross-Sections. And I think it does a nice tandem job, really.
Yeah.
So I would say the visual dictionary is great for learning about the movie and the characters, the artifacts, the places, and the Incredible Cross-Sections is a deeper dive. And yes, it focuses on the ships as well as the other vehicles, but also tells you about some of the other story elements as well.
When I first picked this up, the page I turned to was the ski speeder.
Oh, yeah.
Just because we knew nothing about them in the movie, and I wanted to know about them. So I love the fact that they went into so much detail on this. And is there any wonder why they put this on the cover?
Right.
Because it's a ship we knew nothing about, but yet look what it did in the film.
Yeah.
And what was the thing that you went right to when you opened up this book? Because you don't read it cover to cover. What's the one thing that you dove for and then backtracked?
Also the speeders. I was really curious because I was curious what the whole thing with Rose telling Finn you have to do the stabilizing thing. I had no idea. So most of the movie with the ships or any of the vehicles, you don't really care about various pieces or parts of the ships. But for this one piece of the ship, I wanted to know, why does it matter so much? Why is he just flying about in the air? So that, and it's funny because it answered it in one line. Yeah. Right. But at the same time, there's a lot more than just the parts of the pieces of the ships. There's some really cool stories, and it's not just the context. Yes, the connections as well as the context.
Yeah. What's funny about that is the first thing I turned to was the monoski, that ship as well.
Yeah.
Hey, engage your monoski, the green toggle.
Just keep it tight and don't get drawn in too close till they roll that cannon out front.
All right, well, thank you, Drew, for joining us once again. Now, if the Skywalkers want to get a hold of you, where do they go? What do they do?
Well, they can find me at StarWarsMaven.info and on social media at StarWarsMaven at Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and I'll be there.
Excellent. And we can also find you tweeting every week about listening to Skywalking Through Neverland. So thank you.
And posting your Skywalker selfies.
Yes.
That's right. I love it.
So it is time for the Jedi Order to end. Yes. Skywalker. Still looking to the horizon. The need in front of your nose. I was weak. The greatest teacher failure is. We are what they grow beyond.
Now, before we move on to shoutouts, I gotta say that right after we recorded that segment, I tweeted out to Pablo Hidalgo about Colonel Gaswan Askrith because I was just so curious.
Yes.
And he was nice enough to take a screenshot and told me that this character can be found at Canto Byte if you go to the 56-minute, 41-second mark in The Last Jedi.
Wow. So thanks, Pablo.
Yeah, he's buried in there. But we'll see him like from the chest up.
Wow. So he is in the film, albeit very briefly.
I still want that action figure. All right, with that, let's move on to shoutouts.
Shoutouts. Skywalker shoutouts. Which Skywalkers get props from here in Neverland? Who was tweeted out? Shout out. Who was photobombed? Shout out. Who was shared a post? Shout out.
We have 4 new Apple Podcast reviews from the month of March. It's like my own birthday present, Richard.
I know.
So, first of all, we got a 4-star review from Davis Grayson, who says, "This is such a fun podcast to listen to and so positive. When you hear them discuss topics, they have a wealth of knowledge, and you can tell they have a passion and love for what they talk about. Keep up the great work." Aw.
Thank you, Davis.
Yeah.
Next one is a 5-star review from Bert6970. Very enjoyable fan podcast. A lot of effort is put into this podcast, from the production value to the content of the podcast. This is a highly entertaining podcast that keeps the listener interested with topical Star Wars and MCU information and interviews. The interviews are where this podcast really shines. They find and ask very interesting questions and actually listen to the person they are actually interviewing and have very good follow-up questions. All in all, this is an excellent podcast. Highly recommended.
Thanks, Bert. Yay. Okay, this next review is by the guy leaving this comment. It's a 5-star review. I like the upbeat vibe, and there was no whining about recent Star Wars events. That's awesome.
The no whining podcast zone. All right, our next one is another 5-star review from
EWW, which
EWW.
I believe is Warren.
Eric Warren.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Eric. This one is titled A Galactic Odyssey of Fandom.
Whoa.
Richard and Sarah share their love of Star Wars through their upbeat and positive podcasts. Get insider information from people involved with the making of the movies, writing the books, building the rides, and running the shows. Join in the journey as Skywalking Through Neverland celebrates all forms of Star Wars fandom and beyond.
You know what, Eric? I think I want to steal that and put that as our profile.
Like a slug line?
Yeah, the slug line. It's very cute. And now I want to give a shout out to podcasts that we are on as guests.
We're solo guests.
Oh
my goodness. Oh my goodness. All right, so where can people hear you as you were a solo guest?
Okay. Well, you can hear me discuss Forces of Destiny on the Moon Jockeys podcast with Brian Bailey, and that is out now. And you can also hear me coming up on the Disney Universe podcast with Joey Pittman, fellow Skywalker, and that will be coming out within 2 weeks. And me and Anthony Fox were guests on the Disney Universe podcast. We were discussing our favorite Disney soundtracks. So that was super fun.
And I was invited to talk to the friendly folks over there at Channel Star Wars, where we discussed everything from the symbolism of Luke Skywalker to Grey Jedi. And that podcast can be found at Channel Star Wars. A great discussion. These people know what they're talking about.
Cool. All right, well, it's time for the Skywalker of the Week.
Michael Celestino. Michael. Celestino.
Well, congratulations to Mike Celestino.
Yay! You are the Skywalker of the Week. You get your very own jingle as composed by Rob Dellinger, who is
the John Williams of podcasting. And what do they have to do to get their own Skywalker jingle?
And if you want to get your own Skywalker jingle, all you have to do is share the show in some way on social media. Make sure to tag us at Skywalking Pod so that we know you're sharing it. And the whole point is to get others to know about the show and listening. And also, if you share our YouTube videos and make a comment, okay, this could get you up in the ranks. If you make a comment on our unboxing video for the Funko Pops, you will be in the top tier running for the next Skywalker of the Week. So make sure you head over to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Skywalking Through Neverland. And that video is the very first video that's going to pop up.
Not a hard challenge.
No.
Not a hard challenge at all. Now, if you Skywalkers want to see Rob Dellinger live, he is performing with his all-new band, the Alpha Rhythm Kings, and he will be at Mr. Tipples in San Francisco, California on Saturday, April the 14th. Then on April the 28th, which is another Saturday, he'll be at the Impulse Room in Walnut Creek, California. Then on Wednesday, May the 2nd, he'll be at the University Club of San Francisco in San Francisco, California. Then on Thursday, May the 10th, he will be at the Terrace Room in Oakland, California.
So please go to alpharhythmkings.com for more info and more tour dates. Well, that wraps up episode 209 of
Skywalking Through Neverland. We'd like to thank Jocasta Drew, DK, for sending us those great books, the Visual Dictionary and the Incredible Cross-Sections book. And, of course, we want to thank all you Skywalkers for coming back each and every week.
And a reminder on our YouTube channel, we have new unboxing videos of new solo Star Wars story merchandise. So head on over to check out Lando and Enfys Nest as Funko Pops. And there's more videos coming on Black Series figures and Pops and Chewie action figures. We're so excited. So please subscribe, youtube.com/Skywalking Through Neverland.
Now, if you want to hear some more great podcasts, you can go over there to retrozap.com, where you can hear shows like Brews and Blasters,
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Case Files,
the Deucecast Movie Show,
Animaniacast,
Techno Retro Dads,
the Artcast, a retro gaming podcast,
and Talking Apes, where we're going to be reviewing the 50th anniversary of Planet of the Apes.
Nice. And Skywalkers, if you want to catch up with us on social media, we are at Skywalking Pod for Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to not only talk to us, but talk to other people who listen to the show, please head on over to our Facebook group, which is where it's at. Everyone is talking to each other. It's great. So search Facebook for Skywalking Through Neverland group, request to join, and then you have to answer the 2 questions that pop up, and we may just add you.
And once again, we want to please remind everyone to go over there to Apple Tunes?
Apple Podcasts.
Apple Podcasts. See, once places start changing their names, I get all confused.
Yes.
I'm going to keep calling it Grauman's Chinese Theater, too.
I know.
So go over there to the Apple Podcast and leave us a review.
Yeah.
Not going to tell you to leave 5 stars. Leave as many stars as you want. Give us an honest review.
And Skywalkers, there were some bloopers this week. So, yeah. Listen all the way to the end of the episode, and you just may hear some.
I blame this heat. It's really hot in here.
It is.
It's making us very testy.
It is. So, head on over to YouTube, subscribe, and then always remember
to never open your vintage toys and
Neverland on Alderaan.
Some imagination, huh?
To our Skywalkers and Tweetwalkers, thanks for listening. Skywalking Through Neverland is created and produced by Richard and Sarah Woloski. Original music by Rob Dellinger. Creative consultant Mark Augushowitz. Technical advisor Peter Heitman. Facebook administrators Donald Wicks, Joey Pittman, and Norma Heitman.
Skywalking Through Neverland is intended for entertainment and information purposes only. Any sounds, music, and clips played during this podcast are the property of their copyright holders. All original content is property of Skywalking Through Neverland. All rights reserved. Sorry, had to be said. All right, now, in this big power-packed episode, we will be discussing the first full trailer for Star Wars: A Solo Story.
Wait, what?
So they're going to tie in a Han Solo and Jason action figure. Because it's coming out Friday the 13th.
Oh.
Yes.
Wow, that took me a minute to get.
Solo's going to have a hockey mask on. And like Anakin, going to go after all these youngins. But only the camp counselors. If you're a camp counselor, don't go anywhere near the Spice Mines of Kessel. Just saying.
Okay. Wow, I haven't seen that film, so a lot of those references went straight over my head.
Camp Crystal Corellia. Oh, I love it. I'm just trying to tie in the holiday to Solo. Okay. All right, but moving on to where...
Now, this is my favorite April 10th thing. This happened in...
One more time.
All right, now this is my favorite... What is this called?
Today in Star Wars and Disney history. Now, we've made several pilgrimages. Pilgrimages.
You know what I just did with my notes? I went like this to go up on my notes, like an iPad.
It's a piece of paper. You can't swipe on a notepad.
I can't believe I just did that. That's really funny. Okay. Now, I did not know this, and I'm curious if you guys knew this or if this is new. Did you know that you can adjust the blade length of that lightsaber?
Yes.
Okay, you knew that.
Yes.
And where did you know that from?
That's one of the things, one of the books you read in books and comics and...
Okay. You don't remember, but
no,
that's been brought up before.
Yes.
Okay. That was new to me, so I was like, oh, wow.
I think even in The Empire Strikes Back, when Luke was training on Dagobah, there was a reason why he would adjust his lightsaber blade. It wasn't in the movie. It was...
Oh, okay. I was like, that's not in the movie.
No. It was in the novel or the comic book.
Okay.
All right, well, it's still new to Sarah and me.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, guys, keep up.
Maybe it's just a different generation of fandom.
Could be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes.
Could be.
Well, that wraps up episode bleh. Why can't I say that? All right, we're going to stop. Bye.
Bye, everyone.